What's up, guys? I got a 2014 Silverado that we're going to replace the battery on today. Now, when I first started trying to do this, I had trouble with it, and I went on YouTube to look to see if anyone had a video on how to get this battery out, and I couldn't find one. So I thought that maybe my contribution for today would be to figure out how to get my battery out and then post it so that you guys can see it too. So let's get under the hood and take a look at what we have to do. Alright, so there's no doubt in my mind that Chevrolet made this as hard as they possibly could. We've got to take this cross member out. We got some bolts over there to take out. There's some bridging in this, I'm calling it a distribution block. I don't know exactly what they call it, but I'm going to tilt the camera down and show you bolt by bolt what we've got to take loose here. And I've never done this before, so we're going to have to do a little trial and error. And I'm concerned that the battery might not even come out with the overflow tank here for the radiator. I'm a little worried that might have to move. So let's start working on it, and hopefully you'll learn from my fidgeting here. Let's get it out. Alright, so I've already gone through and loosened up most of these bolts here so that it'll just be easier. Now you're going to need two different sockets. You're going to need a 13 millimeter. All this stuff is metric. Your 13 millimeter is going to disconnect this bolt, and this bolt back here. So they're already loose, so all I have to do is just undo them by hand and they'll come on out. And then this whole piece right here, it comes out. Alright, so once that's loose, we'll switch over to the 10 millimeter, and the 10 millimeter is going to loosen up the positive post and the negative post. Now I went ahead and already loosened those up to speed this up, so we'll reach down, pull the negative off of the post, flop that over. And then you've got this plastic cover right here that's just held on with tension clips. So you'll just reach around the edge and start working it up, and the cover will come on off. And that's where you see this, I guess, distribution block. I've never seen it done quite like this, so I don't know what Chevy was thinking, but whatever. The first thing you got to do is loosen up the nut right here on the end. You take that off, and you can just thread it back on to one of these other posts just to keep from losing it. And then I've got this wire here, which you're not going to have this one. This is a 50 amp fuse going to a watt, or not a watt, but a amplifier in my truck for the stereo. Now you've got this little jumper right here that goes from the positive post over into this big distribution block here. So once you loosen up the nut on the post, you guys see that? Yeah, I think you can see that. Just start jiggling it. Just wiggle it back and forth, and it'll come up and come off. And so just set that to the side. Now, the thing I'm not 100% sure on is how to get this crap off of here. So, I don't see any nuts or screws. But it's held on really tight somewhere. Okay. Alright, we did something right there. So, alright, so to get that loose right there, what I did was I just put my hand right here on the side of this bracket, and there's a gap right there that your finger can go in. And I just started pulling in that direction towards me, and I was able to roll that edge up and off, and then just keep kind of wiggling And I think we're free. Yeah, so the only stuff holding it is just the tension of the wires back there holding it in place. Alright, so there's one more bolt right there. So I'm going to go ahead and take my bigger socket and go down there. We're going to go ahead and get that off. Alright, so that's going to allow us to get that little support out of the way. Maybe that'll give us a little more room here. Yeah, so that's going to allow that little distribution block to come all the way over. So that little, that screw right there has got that wedge on it, or shoe, whatever you want to call it. That's holding the actual battery still. So we're going to need to take that off. That whole little cleat assembly comes out. So the battery should be loose now. Yeah. Alright, so that's the combination. You got to lay the battery down on its side in the engine compartment, and then it'll stand up. And now it's out. Alright, so we got the battery out, and that was about as cumbersome as that could have possibly been. So, but it's out now. So let's head to the auto parts store, get ourselves a new battery, and put it back in. Holy crap, that was an expensive battery. $230 for that battery. Alright, so we got our new battery and we're getting ready to put it in the hole. Now remember, to get this thing in and out, we've got to turn it to the side, slide it in, and then flip it over. Okay. Alright, so now the battery's in and it's secured in place. Our next thing is to put this distribution block back in place and hope it fits. It looks like it's gonna. And just line it up on the battery, give it a push, and it locks in place. So, next thing we're going to do is reinstall this support arm. We're going to feed that down behind those 3 big wires right there. Line it up over the hole and put our screw back in. Alright, and we got that hand tight, and we're going to leave it loose until we get the cross member back in here. And then once everything is lined up and started, then we'll go back and torque everything down. So next is I need to put the cover back over the block here. And oh, no wait, that's not next. Haha. I was getting ready to get ahead of myself. We need to reconnect that, and I'm going to put the jumper back on from the positive battery over to the block here. So put it back on just like it came off. Slide it down over the terminal block at the same time that we're going over this little post. Alright, now your truck's not going to have this wire, so you don't have to do that, but because I have a subwoofer running my speakers, or an amplifier running my subwoofer, that's my power line for that, so you won't have it. But you will have this one and the nut that goes on top of it. Alright, now we can put the cover back on all of this. Just gotta line it up, give it a push, and you'll hear all the clamps re-engage. So that's now on there. So we're gonna get a little 10mm and go ahead and tighten up the screw here on the positive battery post. Alright, now we can put this little cover back on here. Now we can go ahead and put the cross member back up here. And you can see that's got the nut welded on the, or I think you can see it now, got the nut welded on the back there. So you want to be sure when you put that in that you get the side with the welded nut on the opposite side of where the screw is going to go in. You don't have to take it apart twice. Line up our holes, get our bolts started. Get that one started. Go to right here. And get put our extension back on. Go down here back in the bottom where the support bar goes down and the bolts in. And remember, we just got that hand tight before. So now that everything's lined up and started, go ahead and tighten that all the way down. Alright, so once we got that good, we can reach down and get our ground, feed that back over through there. Alright, well that's it guys. We got our battery in and connected. We got all our tools and everything out of the engine bay and cleaned up. So we should now have ourselves a functioning Silverado. That's it. Alright, hope you guys learned something. Hoped you guys that have a 14 or newer Silverado, this helped you out if you're trying to get your battery out. If it did, be sure to hit like, hit the bell notification. If you've got any questions or any comments, leave them below. I'll be glad to answer anything you post. I'm Albert. See you next time.